Hi, hello, I am your least favorite Drag Race content creator, Jer. Today we are discussing my dream wish list for a Global All-Stars 2. Now I know that the first one has barely even started, but these are the people that I would like to see if we were to get another Global All-Stars. So the point of an All-Stars season would be to bring in people that did not win, that got really close, or maybe people that made a really good impact on TV. So those are the people that I tried to focus on when looking at this list. The other thing to consider before we get into this is that there are about 6 international seasons that I have not seen. I am going to catch up on those seasons eventually. I have a Drag Race podcast that uploads once a week, usually on Sundays. You can check that out in the links below. And we are working our way through every single season, and as we get to the ones that we haven't seen, then we'll be watching them. So I tried to balance out the cast that I have seen to try and get as much representation as I possibly could find. So without further ado, here we go. Starting out with representation from the United States, I would love to see Linacia Sparks come back. Linacia was in season 5 of Drag Race and was representing Puerto Rico at the time. Linacia had a really incredible runway package, and it's rumored that she was actually invited for All Stars 8. Something happened, and Jessica Wilde was chosen. I think that Linacia would be a really great representation of Puerto Rican drag and would really bring a great flavor to a Global All-Stars. Plus, I think her runway package would absolutely devour. Next, from the United States, I would love to see Mistress Isabelle Brooks. I will honestly think that Mistress would survive any version of an All-Stars, whether that be a Versus the World, whether that be an All-Stars, whether that be Global. Mistress would honestly make it to the top no matter what. Mistress is one of those people who's just really great television, and I think a proper All-Star season needs someone who's gonna be good TV. That's gonna be Mistress Isabelle Brooks. Plus, she represents a old school version of drag that also kind of meets new school, and I think that would be very needed for the rest of the queens that I've chosen. Representing the United Kingdom, I would love to see Caramel. Caramel is one of those queens that I really thought was going to make it all the way to the end, and I was so disappointed when she didn't. She has this really global look on drag, and the way that she presents herself and her culture and her heritage and who she is on the runway is really spectacular. I think she has this really great blend of drag that RuPaul loves to see and drag that the United Kingdom is very interested in. She blends both those things together, and so I think that makes her a really great international queen to bring into a global season. Next, representing the United Kingdom is none other than Queen Tayce. Tayce is one of those queens that everyone wants to see back in some capacity. I think Tayce is it. And I think that it would be the most respectful to bring in Tayce in a situation where she could actually win money. I think Tayce would easily make it to top 4. And I think Tayce would dominate every single runway. Plus, Tayce is just it as far as drag is concerned. There are not a lot of queens of color who have been represented in the United Kingdom. So for me, it was a little bit disappointing to see that the very first queen that stomped onto the Global All-Star scene was a white queen. I would have loved to have seen one of the underserved community members of the United Kingdom be represented, because I think that represents the people more than a white queen does. And so for me, I would really want to include a lot of cultural diversity. We do a bad job here in the United States of representing cultures, and I think that it's high time to change that. Representing Down Under, I would love to see Art Simone come back. Our queen of that means nothing. Art is a really spectacular drag queen, and seeing her on the show was very different than the Art Simone that I have met a number of times. I think she's really smart, she's quick-witted, she thinks really broadly about her drag, and she represents a camp style that, from everyone that I've chosen so far, they don't really do camp, but Art does, and I think she would bring a fun dynamic to a global scene. Representing Drag Race Thailand, my absolute bias, Vanda Miss Joachim is honestly one of my favorite queens that's ever graced the RuPaul's Drag Race or the Drag Race franchise in general. I think Vanda is so talented, so funny, so beautiful, has really glamorous, gorgeous drag, and connects with the camera in a way that I really want to keep seeing more of. Plus, she's just, for a lack of better drag queen words, fierce. She is so fierce, and I would love to see her come back and be able to perform in front of RuPaul. Representing Thailand, I would also love to see Jeannie. Jeannie was a queen who got eliminated from the competition because Art and Pangina were just really hot to get rid of everyone and find a reason to bring back Candy Cyanide. And I think that Jeannie is really fun and camp, very similar in drag sensibility to Art, but brings a lot of really interesting concepts to the runway. And I would love to see what Jeannie would do now that she's had several years off the show and to come back and do it in front of RuPaul. Jeannie is really smart and funny and a really great actress, and I think that she would really do well in the competition. Especially among so many of these big personalities, she also has one, but sort of subdued it a little bit in Thailand to not really overpower the others that were there. Representing Canada, I would love to see Jada Shada Hudson. Jada is another really excellent TV personality, very similar to Mistress Isabel Brooks. And even though Jada is definitely a little more on the crafty side when it comes to drag, I think that's an important drag style to recognize, and I think that the Canadian drag sensibility is a little more of the people, and Jada would be a really great representation of what that looks like. I think a lot of her runways were a little pedestrian, but maybe now that she's had time off the show, I would love to see some really spectacular new drag. Also representing Canada, I would love to see Denim return. Denim is one of only 2 trans male contestants that we've ever had on the Drag Race franchise, and Denim is so extremely talented and fashion forward and thinking about these really excellent concepts when presenting their runway package. Their runway package was comparable to things that we were seeing on season 15 and 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race. I think that Denim would absolutely blow Ru out of the water. And I think that their drag is so valid and worthy of being seen on a global level. Denim was so special to see on that season, and to see how their brain worked and the way that they interpreted the challenges and the assignments. And I would love to see that in front of everyone possible. Representing Holland's Drag Race, I would love to see Chelsea Boy, my very favorite sort of gender non-conforming androgynous performer, to grace the Holland stage. I really love what Chelsea does, and I think Ru would get it. It harkens back to a lot of that really old school drag that Ru used to do, that sort of freak out wee pole thing that Ru built her career off of in the very beginning. And I think that Chelsea would be really celebrated in a global series, whereas I don't know if Fred really got what Chelsea was doing. And I think they were trying to make their Drag Race be a little more homogenous with seasons 3 to 8, that I don't think Chelsea really fell into what they were looking for. Chelsea Boy has some really great runway concepts, and I would love to see those reimagined with a bigger scale. Representing Holland is Cedergine, one of my favorite queens that's ever been on Drag Race Holland. Cedergine is batshit crazy. Cedergine is such a big personality, is so silly, is so goofy, has such a bright, beautiful presence, and I think her silliness of drag would really resonate with things that Ru might enjoy. I think that Cedergine would absolutely kill a Global All-Stars season, and I would argue that Cedergine would make it to top 5, potentially top 4. I think with the potential to get that sort of wackadoo brain in front of Ru with the fashion to back it up, because a lot of queens that come in that are a little wackadoo don't always have the fashion skills to help propel them through a challenge that maybe they didn't do great on, and then they also kind of flubbed on the runway. As long as Cedergine doesn't bust out any Muppets, she will absolutely dominate in this imaginary season. Finally, representing the Philippines, I think that we deserve Marina Summers to return one more time. This might be a lock-in for Marina to win the whole thing, because I think Ru and Michelle loved her in UK versus the World 2. Marina is such a star, has so much television personality, has so much glamour and high fashion, is really silly and knows her brand and who she is quite possibly better than anybody else that was on that season. And I would love to see her come back and get a Jimbo treatment, get just absolutely praised, absolutely handheld through every single challenge, so that it would be a very clear path for her to get to the end. Because I think it was kind of a crime that we did not get to see Marino win that season. And not that I necessarily want to have a rigged drag race, but we know that it's going to happen anyway. So if we're going to rig a season, let's rig it for someone who really deserved to win their respective season. And with that, that has been my Dream Global All-Stars 2 casting. I know that I have not seen Spain, Italy, France, Belgium, Mexico, and Germany, but I plan on watching them, and I will have even more queens under my repertoire for the next time that I find myself making this video. But who would you like to see from any season that you think really deserves a chance to get in front of RuPaul, show their drag, and potentially show their drag on a global scale? Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the flip. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye.